So all hatred and blindness will be no more.
We are called to act with justice. We are called to love tenderly. We are called to serve one another, to walk humbly with God.
This 9 o'clock Mass is starting over there at St. Stephen's on the south side. So we walked in.
And were instantly accepted by everyone there, and found a natural place. And this was at the time when there were 3 pastors, David Vink, Frank Kenny, and Bob Minton. And it was kind of an experiment in looking at a Vatican II parish. And the time of the Mass varied over the years, but it's what we would call a 9 o'clock Mass now. And that community was just so life-giving and so fulfilling. It was really remarkable.
It was an old, staid kind of parish, and it was after Vatican II, and we undertook the project of trying to change the parish into a modern 1960s type parish. We made changes in the liturgy and incorporated some social justice programs for the parish. I started a parish council, and it was one of the first times that the parish council was established in this diocese. So it was a heady time. It was very exciting.
St. Stephen's on Sunday mornings nurtured us.
Exactly.
Nobody lectured us. There was an understanding of our being called to do this, and we just felt so good going to church, and things were just developing there. Now, St. Stephen's had just started. The bishop had sent the 3 priests, so let's be clear that at that point in time, this was blessed by the hierarchy. Because we were going to have a looser look at, and a more complete look at Vatican II, we were meeting over in the gym so that the chairs could be moved, and there could be, the circle, and pushing the altar around, and that sort of thing. That's why we were initially in the gymnasium.
I thought it pretty unique, but pretty exciting that the 9 o'clock community kept examining itself so much to try to say, well, let's not be sitting on our laurels, let's not be just very proud of what we're doing. Let's remind ourselves that we have to keep looking and finding and seeing what we ought to be as a church. What does it mean to say everybody's welcome? What does it mean to have street people coming to the liturgy? And how do we say that we are a community that's inclusive, but more importantly, how do we say we're a community that where hospitality is one of the primary experiences of what we're about here? What does that mean to say that?
I can remember how excited we were the first time we stood up around the altar. And of course we could do that in the gym too. We were in all the kids and everybody holding hands. That gives you an idea that we weren't very large. And then the Indian community involved. Our deacon was an Indian person. There were young women who were twins who were very active in the Indian community, and they were ushers and what we would call today coordinators, things like that. And we did dialogue homily we didn't call it that, but that's what it was from the start. We talked about the homily afterwards I remember very clearly this one young man holding his new baby, walking back and forth in the gym to quiet the baby, offering his thoughts and insights on what we just said. Our little children did some dialoguing if something hit them in the homily. Sometimes we met in small groups to have the homily, talk about the gospel as small group people. So it's just the variety of things that were happening. The special needs program that lived at that time right across the street in the huge apartment-like building. Sunday mornings, a whole group of special needs people came across the street and sat in the front rows in those old auditorium chairs we had in the gym, and were part of the community. It was, it just felt so whole, and not make-believe.
I came alive, I have to tell you the truth. I was like Rip Van Winkle, asleep for more than 20 years. And I came alive then. I've never felt so alive in my whole life as I did. You know, the variety of things and the things I did, all things Jesus said to do, you know, which we have never done any of that. So, well, you know, we could go on for days talking. Just don't have the time.
I was quite certain that what we were doing by that time, even before I left, was outside the norms, if the norms of the Vatican on liturgy were strictly enforced. It was illegal by their standards. It felt, however, in the evolutionary story of the parish and how the parish chose to worship God on Sundays together and supporting one another, it felt like a perfect fit, like a normal transition of a community with each other and with their God. And of course that meant diminishing the role of the patriarchal singular leader into a more of a convening, facilitating role. And I was comfortable with that. When it came time for Pat to be replaced, he found that not many priests at that time were available or willing to step into that mode and not, you know, I can't preach every Sunday, you know, those kinds of questions. And the people run the church? Well, I don't, you know, blah, blah. So all of those stories around St. Stephen's made it more difficult for the diocese to find a priest who would come in full-time as pastor and continue the parish, you know, to continue being pastor of the parish.
Given all that wonderful experience that you've had over the years, what do you think of the latest developments at St. Stephen's and the fact that the communities now has been told they can't worship in that way, they have to go back to a more, you know, they have to conform to a more traditional style. What are your thoughts on that?
I love St. Stephen's, and I don't want to leave it. I don't want to leave it. I love the things they do there. Our former parish, we raised money. That was all we did. We raised money. We didn't do anything for racial problems. Our pastor said, we don't have that problem here, so we don't have to worry about it, you know. And we raised money, that was it. And we were never told how much money we raised. And it was so different at St. Stephen's. You know, I can't even describe it. I can't begin to describe it.
We all hear the voice of the Spirit, and we all need to go, as we hear that, listening to what the church guides us to, attending to the documents, being faithful to the tradition, but also being faithful to the living tradition as we're being called forth or called back, however that might be. And for each of it's different. And that's what I find the problem with where we are now, that we cannot tolerate diversity. We cannot tolerate different thought patterns. It's beyond my comprehension that in the world we're living in today, a world that is discovering itself, if you will, scientifically and all other ways all the time, that any organization or institution would claim to have a corner on the truth, and that all knowledge is, this is the truth, when the truth is constantly expanding. And it would also, in this time of the world, when we have to learn to live together, globally, internationally, with the whole of the universe, and do it with difference, not all being the same, why the church institutionally can't try to start modeling that. And that's what I had really hoped would happen at Stephen's, that we could pray together differently, do the work of the gospel together, and go on and set a new model. And I feel that that's a great missed opportunity for the church, that in these global times and in these absolute times when, if we ever thought we knew who God was, now we know only God is mystery. And mystery, when I was a little girl, was told me in the Baltimore Catechism, mystery is something we cannot fully understand, and God is a mystery and we can't understand God. And Karl Rahner said, God is a mystery, and mystery is that which is infinitely understandable. And that's what I wish we could live with. Oh, I wish we could live with that. And all the people at St. Stephen's, I think, do live with that. They may not articulate it this way, but it's so big, and it's so sacred, and it's so profound.
This current crisis that the community is experiencing, how would you like to see that resolved?
Today,
Yeah.
to be resolved, how to resolve it, it isn't going to be resolved. I've already convinced myself that we will be leaving the church as we know it, at the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church. And I'm okay with it. I don't have too strong feelings anymore about the Roman Catholic Church. The community as it is today is very visible, and they're very excited about what is happening. I don't think they want to give it up and compromise. I don't see that at all, and I wouldn't want to either. I have an outstanding invitation now to bring the young priest over to my home. I've already invited him so he could get to know Terry and Beryl and I, the Northsiders. He wanted to know who we were and what our part was in the community. So I invited him, and now I'm sorry that I did. I don't see where we're going to fit over there. Anything that we would have to say to him would not make an impression on him, because he is who he is, and that's the way it's going to be. And with that Archbishop, I'm sure that he's giving the orders. That's what his job is. It isn't going to change. So I'm ready to move on. I feel good about the people in the community. I feel good. I'm going to be 84 years old. I'm not going to last forever. And I'm convinced that the people in the community now are on the right track. I feel I am. I'm ready to move with them and let the leadership, the young leadership, do what they're doing. Because there is no other way. We can't go back there. And I'm moved to tears sometimes. You know, I sound like I'm very, set in my ways about it, but I love St. Stephen's also. I love every bit of it. I know every bit of those buildings. I worked in all 3 of them. I know the people, the history, everything that's happened. As Beryl was saying, it was a big momentous thing for us. Big things that happened in our lives. I'm happy about leaving St. Stephen's as it was, as we were before. it was perfect for me.
I have a lot of mixed emotions because my husband is very much more conservative than I am. We go to different Catholic churches. And I know he's upset about what's going on, you know. Doesn't know if I'm still Catholic or not. I'm still giving my money to St. Stephen's. I'm still hoping we can always be part of St. Stephen's. I'm kind of thinking that will never happen, but I don't know. But I love that community, so I'm torn. I have so many different feelings, you know. It's a sadness.
Let us build a house where love can dwell and all can safely live. A place where saints and children tell how hearts learn to forgive. Built of hopes and dreams and visions, rock of faith and vault of grace. Here the love of Christ shall end divisions. All are welcome, all are welcome, all are welcome in this place.